welcome everyone to another episode of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. So, like I already mentioned in the last episode, I had some issues with the sound. In-game sounds were not recording. So, I think this is fixed now. It had to do something with Shadowplay and the way I set the audio channels. But, well, we shouldn't have any issues anymore. So what I would like to do today is actually rebuild a ship from history. And because I, for some reason, always liked the Austro-Hungarian Navy, I would like to rebuild the Tegetthoff class of ships. And what we will then do is we will put them into a combat environment against the Italian Navy in World War I outfits. So let's see how that goes. So we will play as the Austrians, and we will have the Italian Navy to compete with. Since these ships were launched officially around, I think, 1912, I believe that should suffice. We will commit all the 4 Tegetthoff class battleships, not non-battle cruisers, a couple of heavy cruisers, some light cruisers, and let's say a decent number of destroyers. And then the Italians will have, actually, let's also give them 4 battleships. Let's give them 3 heavy cruisers. Let's give them, well, 4 light cruisers and maybe 10 destroyers. So they will have a bit more than us, and I think historically the Italians also had a slightly larger navy than the Austrians. So one thing I have to check now is actually so this will be the Tegetthoff class. I hope I spelled that correctly. What we will do now is I will quickly check whether the technology levels are okay. Yeah, we have 12-inch guns available, so that's correct. And I think, oh wait, let's see. Let's see, we only have 2 barrel. Okay. We might need to change this a bit. Hopefully we will now have access to, yeah, 3 barrel. So that's correct. So all these Austro-Hungarian battleships actually had a triple turret layout of 12-inch guns. So I will now try to repeat the class. Though in terms of the hull, I think we need to go to this one. Effectively, the Tegetthoff class, according to Wikipedia, had a tonnage of 20,000 tons. So we're a bit above that. So let's try to limit ourselves to then, let's say, 90% of the weight. They had a speed of roughly 20 knots. So not that fast. Their rangers, I guess, also short. And I don't know about the bulkheads, but I think they were decently sturdy built, except for torpedoes. They had turbine engines. They probably had semi-oil. I think we can just fill this in as we believe that would have been the case. And just see how far we can get. Minor anti-torpedo protection, minor anti-flood protection. I think they probably had an armored citadel. In terms of shells, well, that was something we still have to decide. They had apparently, I have to check that. They had 21. Oh, cannot do that. Okay. They would have had these kind of torpedoes, so we go with the largest we can get. Let's go with enhanced hydraulic turrets, and then probably they had coincidence rangefinders. Then in terms of the armor, they had the following scheme. So they had between 6 and 11 inches of belt armor. So that's around what is actually historically correct. So we don't have to change that. So I would assume that the 6 inches means the belt extended. They were assumed to have a 2 to 12 of 11 inch turrets. So we have to lower the turret and the turret top. We will set that at 2, which is kind of low. It had a 1.2 to 1.9 inch deck. So that would then be 1.9 I guess and 1.2 inch deck. And they actually had 7.1 inch casemate armor. And I guess the cunning tower, well, we can keep that at 11, I guess, as well. Just like the belt. So they had this armor scheme. I would assume they had access to, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, at least group 2 steel. Because they were in allied Germany, so I guess they had at least some access to German steel manufacturing. In terms of shells, I don't know, to be honest. Let's go with something reasonable for them. The Germans always use TNT. But I guess for the Austrians, I assume they used the white powder, but again, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so let's give them also the benefit of the doubt of giving them some heavy shells and maybe induced boilers. So this is the base that we have to work on, and then the layout, of course. Well, that's pretty actually nice. They had like 2 turrets, triple turrets, 2 fore and 2 aft. So we will try to repeat that. Let's see where we can actually fit the barbettes. They were 12 inch, by the way. I don't know whether this will fit for the towers, but we'll see. It's going to be difficult. Something like this, actually. Add triple 12-inch barrels. This seems to be okay. Now for the secondary armament, they used well, mostly of course casemates, and they used mostly 6-inch guns, and they had 6 on each side. So that fits. So we have now 12 in total. They had 18 3-inch guns. Okay, so we only have, so we need 9 on each side, and they were all single, by the way, single 3-inch guns. So that would mean that we actually need to add some secondary 3-inch single guns. We can add them like this a bit. It's a bit uneven, but I guess it's okay-ish. Maybe adjust that slightly. I think this is okay. They had also some anti-aircraft guns, but that was, they're not in the game anyway, so we don't have to pay attention to that. And then they had the torpedoes, of course. Well, we will use the underwater ones for that. They actually had 4 tubes in total. I think they officially had 2 on each side, but well, the hull is not long enough to incorporate that, so we shall just do with, let's say, a 4 aft and a starboard and version. And for the funnel, we go with the largest we can put in. That's still 100% reliable. If we go with natural, that would work. We can go a bit lower, I guess. We can go even lower. Yeah, it's not so fast. So. Okay, this is too low. So I guess if we fit this one, that's okay. So that's about it. Well, like I said, we should be around 90%. So yeah, we should be below 20,000 tons. So we might be able to squeeze something in. That's, I guess we can go for fast torpedoes. Yeah, you could have the radio, but it's not that useful. Well, we shouldn't do this. Maybe the better barbettes. Yeah, I think this is okay. Now we are at 20,000 tons. So this should be the Tegetthoff class. And I think that's actually, well, I think it really worked out well, to be honest. Tegetthoff class. Looks nice. And this should be roughly historically correct as well. So let's give this one a try and see how far it will bring us. So I hope I can give these ships victory, but to be honest, I'm not always the best in terms of paying attention to every little detail. But I mean, the forces are kind of even. I mean, the Italians have a bit of an advantage. They have, like I said, 2 destroyers per war and a heavy cruiser. But in terms of battleships, they're even with us. Okay, so the enemy is to the north of us. So what we should do, of course, is we turn north. But okay, well, I guess we don't really have to be worried about going too fast. It's not like we can. And I also hope that actually the AI built something that's reasonable, because the Italians, I looked them up with their class of battleships, they were not that much better than what the Austrians had, to be honest. It was kind of equal. There were also a similar age. Oh, wow. Okay, there's somewhere there. They had a similar age in their ships. They were also laid down roughly around 1910 and so. There were some older ones. Actually, most of the Italian ships, battleships, were a bit older than the Austrian ones. But they were slightly, had a bit more tonnage, and well, it wasn't that much difference. I guess something like 23,000 tons of displacement. Okay, we scored the first hit. And what they had was, well, less guns usually than the Austrians have over here. It's a big hit. Yeah, our armor is not that thick, of course, so we should actually be pretty careful about these destroyers. I think in general we should be careful. We already lost the first destroyer. And we are about to lose the second, I guess. Yeah. So we're already in a decent minority here. It's not going well. I think we are about to turn. And then we're going to try to get away a bit and focus fire on the battleships. But the Italians just had less guns than the Austrians had in general. And like I said, the displacement was a bit better or a bit higher, and they had a bit faster ships as well. So in general, I think they were slightly better. There was also slightly better armor, though that wasn't differ that much. So in terms of battleships, we should be very even historically speaking. I don't know about whether that would of course be in the game, because the AI will design the ships. And if I look at the AI design, I can already see that it's not similar to what the Italians have. Because the AI uses 14-inch guns, which is really a lot better than the Italians use. They use also 12-inch guns. They effectively have a higher caliber, and they even have, if I see that correctly, all 4 triple barrels. So and 30 knots and a higher displacement. So to be honest, in this game we're pretty far behind in terms of power. Also in terms of inches of armor, I'm not so sure, to be honest, whether we will make this. The only thing I can do or try, definitely, is to perhaps put the destroyers on aggressive torpedoes and the light cruisers as well. And hopefully that will hit a lot more of the enemy if they're a bit bunched up together. And in the meantime we just focus on the battleships first from a distance. Even though that's also not really our strong suit. Okay, a ship sinks due to heavy flooding. Okay, we will now focus on the Hydra. Yeah, the Hydra. Yes. Another ship sinks. Okay. Of the Italians. Unidentified ship. Of course, one of our ships will likely follow soon. But let's try to focus fire on this little battleship first. It's a similar one or version to the other, so I mean, if we can hit them well right now with a couple of salvos, then we might be able to sink it because it's already making a bit of water. Not too much luck, it seems. Of course, our reload should be faster than theirs, because we are using smaller caliber guns. And as long as we have the small ships to keep our focus on, we should be able to get rid of them. Okay, so their battleship is already starting to burn. Its rudder is damaged, and it's we should look out for these small warships. And it's sinking, I think. Okay, we have our first battleship kill. That's lucky. So whether it's luck or skill is always difficult to distinguish, but of course we will claim a bit of I would say that there are a bit of luck is involved here, considering their ships and their guns. But I am afraid that these destroyers might give us a lot of pain, so we should definitely turn away from them and focus fire on them. Maybe we should actually also start putting down a smoke screen. happening here? Oh, our light cruiser is about to, I guess, also sink. Yeah, there we go. It is a bit funny that we have such a low chance of hitting San Sebastiano. Even though we are giving it a decent crossfire. I think we should start focusing fire now on the destroyers. We're getting a bit too close for my taste. Though maybe we can't. At least not for the big guns. I think we should turn away. These destroyers are getting a bit close. How are we doing? Well, they're still okay. Battleships are not having much issues, luckily, at the moment. I think we can turn back again after this. Little escape. I mean, the moment that we have sunk the majority of their battleships, our issue should be over. Bit again. Oh, there we go. Torpedoes in the water. A torpedo hit one of our ships. Slow down a bit. Really have huge issues hitting anything at the moment. Oh, a torpedo hit this ship as well. Still have an incredibly low chance of hitting anything. I mean, only 3.3%. What's that? Oh, it's a light cruiser. Okay, that's gone. mean, I don't understand what all our ships are doing. They are just not hitting anything. Okay, we will start to turn again a bit. Yeah, it's also the speed of their ships, which is really superior to ours, which make it a lot. Okay, we have one destroyer kill, which makes it it's kind of difficult to get rid of that ship now because of speed issues. Perhaps we should focus fire now a bit on the heavy cruiser here. Yeah, that might be actually a wise move. If we can just get rid of this one. At least we all are also even in terms of heavy cruisers. Though I think we lost a bit more than they did. Okay, it's now making a heavy flood, which should slow it down. It's further slowing down. So it should be, I guess, mostly dead in the water now. Okay, another good hit. The Kufstein sank. We're just not hitting them easily. It's that seems to be the major issue at the moment. And of course we don't need a lot of hits, just a couple, and then we should be able to sink this ship. I don't know what they are all doing, bunching up together there. The Albert is getting quite ahead of itself, so maybe we should slow it down a bit further. Of course the angle is not so favorable, but at least it's not moving. So that should help. Oh wow, we're not just hitting them easily, are we? I mean, I know I put on coincidental rangefinders, but still. Actually pay attention also weather. we have better targets at the moment. I think this is still one of the better targets to try to sink. It's also burning right now. Just we need a couple of hits. Everything seems to miss more than actually hit. Okay, now we have a good hit there. 600 points. And another 300. And another 200 plus flooding. Come on. This is just incredible. Oh, at least the Albert, I think, repaired its end. Oh no, it's Stark. More ships then. We have more flooding. Should now almost be over for this ship, I guess. Finally. Okay, another flooding. Oh, what's that? Oh, torpedoes. It was lucky. Okay, so the heavy cruiser is sinking. Now I think they're auto-targeting the destroyer. Of course, it also, I think, released torpedoes, so we should be very careful. I think I will let the ships auto-target now for a while. Come on, also like 41 knots in this time, like World War I. That's, I think, not really that realistic, even for a destroyer. 41 knots. Yeah, let's speed up some stuff again. Let's perhaps get some of our own destroyers over there. But the accuracy is abysmal. Okay, we will send our own destroyers. Let's also put down smoke screens. Let's put them in a breast formation. Okay, the torpedoes are going to miss, but they might actually hit. Yeah, one of our destroyers. Put the destroyers on AI, by the way. Perhaps we should also give the heavy cruisers AI control. Okay, we have destroyed one of their other heavy cruisers again. To be honest, I'm mostly afraid for their destroyers because they're so enormously quick. Difficult to destroy them. The only thing we can hope at some point is maybe that they run out of torpedoes to send, which could be the case because some of them don't really seem to have a lot of torpedoes left, so maybe that will help us. And if we have a lucky shot on this one, that might, well, we have a fire. We might also be able to kill it. I don't know what that sound is supposed to be. Okay, something sank. I guess it was a destroyer that was close to the heavy cruiser. Which just hit and it's just sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Come on! Hit it once! This is just terrible. Come on. Damn ship. Yeah, a flood. Okay. Well, that's only a second compartment, or third actually. But that might slow it down further. So, and it's also now, its rudder is disabled. So with a lucky shot, again, yeah, another one. We can perhaps sink it. But that they won't at least have any more heavy cruisers to... Oh, what's that? Oh, destroyer is hit. What was that? Oh, torpedoes towards the destroyers. Okay, so they now lost their last heavy cruiser. So that means that we only have the battleships, I'm saying only, but we still have 3, but we have 4, and their destroyers to take care of. Still difficult enough. Oh yeah, and a light cruiser, but that one is I think also soon, yeah, that's sinking as well, and then we also lose another destroyer. Yeah. Oh, and they lose another destroyer. But to be honest, I'm fine with losing destroyers. I'm more afraid of trying to get rid of theirs. Okay, let's speed up the game again a bit. Otherwise this will take forever. So yeah, it's their speed which is so incredibly fast, which also makes it very difficult for us to hit anything. So yeah, I mean, That was a lucky shot to get to lose the... okay, so let's see. That destroyer is out of torpedoes. So it could be actually... let's see. That one still has 2 torpedoes left. So it could be that we can now start to focus fire again on the battleships. And that we can start to ignore the destroyers. I think we can start to make a bit of headway towards their formations. This one is out of torpedoes. This one still has 5, so that is dangerous. This one still has 2 torpedoes left. I hope our heavy cruisers can take care of that destroyer, but to be honest, I fear it will get hit rather than actually... the AI is trying to avoid. Oh yeah, of course. I think we lost this heavy yeah. But anyway, I'm still okay with this exchange. The one thing I really want to avoid is just getting torped. Oh, this one doesn't have any more ammo. This one still has. So I think we should focus fire on that target as much as we can. And then now start to... and then I also bunch together, so perhaps we will hit a bit more targets as well. I mean, we probably only need to... oh yeah. We only probably need to hit it once. Yeah, that one is gone. Okay. Oh, this is also a dangerous target. I think it launched some torpedoes, so we should already start to make some evasive action. I think we should start to make some evasive action. And with this on, I'm going to say safe right now. That's the heavy cruiser. Okay. Okay, we should start to focus fire now on the... what is this one? Oh, it's got a torp, of course. Yeah, that was bound to happen. Yeah, we have lost that one as well. At least we sank another of their destroyers. It's of course a bad exchange, a heavy cruiser for destroyer, but at this moment I'm taking it. The only thing I want to preserve is the battleships. That's for me the most important thing to preserve. Which is almost the only thing we have left, actually. Okay, yeah, we're opening fire again with the big guns. So lucky. This is just so lucky that it just constantly can avoid everything we throw at it. Oh, it's... Oh, there are some... Oh, there's a torpedo in the water. Okay. Oh, and its rudder is damaged now, so... Maybe if we're lucky, we can score a couple of good hits. But our ammo is now also, of course, getting lower and lower, so... we should start to make a bit more progress. It is making water, so a couple of good hits below the like this one, below the water line, will of course cause flooding and all kinds of issues. That was lucky that it just bounced off. Okay, we have another small hit, but that's not anything impressive. The accuracy is horrible. I know it's 6 kilometers out during this time, or not, it's 10 kilometers. During this era, anything that was, let's say, below 5 was hittable somewhat, but 10 was really way too much, too far out. So we are getting now a 6% chance of hitting. Still not seeing a lot of, we're now at 7%, but it's the ammo that I'm worried about. What's that battleship doing there, actually? Okay. We have one battleship here that is, I think, trying to cross the T. So, let's give that one a decent welcome. This one should be pretty much dead. Unless it can sink a lot of ours. Okay, we are hitting it. Okay, let's slow down a bit. It has some flooding. This one can hit that ship a bit decent below the waterline, and that one now as well, and the Luitpold, the Siegreiche and Albert, they can all now pretty much cause devastating hits like this if done correctly. If they hit something at least. Okay, it now has massive flooding. Its engines are taken out. It has torpedo hits. It's making water. It's listing. Yeah, this one should be gone. Yeah, it's sinking. Okay, that one is gone. Next one. Don't care about the destroyer. Next one is this battleship. All ships focus fire on that target. Then we have the Forza, who is also now starting to cross the T. I'm mostly concerned with the ammo, but I think this one is the better target at the moment because of its distance and also because of its angle. Okay, we have a torpedo hit on the Forza. The Modana del Arsenal is now the target, the priority target. So if we can score a couple of good hits, I think we can kill it. Come on. Just a couple below the waterline. And that destroyer, oh yeah, it doesn't have any torpedo ammo anymore. It's not the priority target. You can have the secondaries open fire on it, but it should be okay. Actually, to be honest, we can go a bit tighter in the formation. Of course, we will be able to get hit more easily, but our accuracy will improve. We're now at 21%, they are at 37%. Oh no, they are at 21% and we are at 40% accuracy. So now we are in the sweet zone. And you can see this massive, yeah, this one should also be a goner now. It's flooding all over. It's having huge issues. And I think it's sunk. Yeah. Okay, next target. We will start to turn a bit. And we will still keep firing on their destroyers with the secondaries. We will just use our primary guns to get rid of this battleship, which also hurt. And that's now crossing the T a bit. This destroyer, we should actually be careful, still has 2 torpedoes left. To be honest, I do consider this a victory if we just win and kill this. Oh, I heard torpedoes in the water. Yeah, there are torpedoes in the water. Okay, we should start turning now rapidly, and we should also increase their speed if we can even avoid them. This is going to be difficult because there are 3 torpedoes heading this way. The entire fleet is now turning and turning and turning. Actually, we should maybe even lower the engines. Hopefully we can avoid a hit. And we avoid it. Okay, we sank actually their battleship. So that means they have almost nothing left of any consideration. They have a couple of destroyers which have no torpedoes. I call this a victory. They only have some destroyers left. Which of course they cannot hurt us. I hope we can sink them, but that might be difficult. It really depends on whether we can score a lucky hit, because they're so fast that it's very difficult to hit them. But they can, if they don't have any more torpedoes left, which they don't have, then they cannot do anything anymore against us. So I guess we can consider this a victory. And if we just score, yeah, we have sunk that destroyer. We just need to make sure that we start to form up a line again. And we have the slow Starke here, which is just need a couple of lucky hits like this. That's all fine. If we have a couple of these lucky hits in a row, yeah, like this, they are disabled and they will sink. Okay, next target, and the last, I think, is the Guglielmo Pepe. Yeah, sorry if I butchered the name. I try to do my best always to pronounce the names as well as I can, but so we might as well just slow down a bit, because I think this will not take long anymore. Now, if we just have a couple of, if we have one big hit or a couple of lucky shots, then that's it. I mean, and even the 3 inchers, if they hit, that will suffice to kill it. Yeah, there we go. One big hit, and the destroyer is gone. So yeah. Wait, do they have one more ship left? No, right? I hope not. Oh, probably there's that one light cruiser somewhere still. I don't know where it is. I think it was somewhere here, but should be kind of close. Well, what are they doing? But this does show that these battleships were not that bad, I would say. Of course they are not accurate, but they were cheap comparatively and decently armored for the day. It's just sad that, well, how to say. Oh, enemy spoke is spotted to the west. Okay, that means they're still there actually. Which is annoying that we cannot speed this up a bit more. But at least it shows that the ships were not that bad and that they actually could, in a full fight, sustain themselves decently against officially better opponents. At least in this test they were. I think that we actually were a bit better in our Admiral, or let's say our captaineering, so than the AI did this turn. Which is special because usually I just get hit by torpedoes all the time, but anyway. You know, important ships still all survived. And I think one of the big issues that they had was that they just didn't focus enough on taking out some of the ships. I think that was the big issue. They just didn't focus. But yeah, this might take a while, so perhaps I will. Oh, okay, we are spotted. So of course they will spot us before we can spot them because they are like the light cruiser. But at least we know that we are not that far off then. Maybe it's a very hurt destroyer, that could also be. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, these ships are not that bad for their time. No, I'm actually pretty impressed in how they performed. Oh, okay, we've spotted them. Okay, yeah, it's the light cruiser and it's very hurt, so just a matter of now trying to kill it. With a couple of good shots. It's already on fire, it's already having a flood. So let's have a look here. Let's just go a bit slower. So this is a light, yeah, it does have torpedoes still. So we should be careful that we don't unnecessarily lose another ship. We might as well just slow down and keep the range a bit longer. There's no point in rushing against such a hurt ship that's going to sink anyway. Like this, it's all a hit already. It's a small hit. Creating more hits and more, and if we score one big hit, very likely that's the end. Here we go with the big hits. Of course still a bit far out for the ship, though 6 kilometers is actually doable. It's making fire and more fire. Here we go, we have a big hit and another one. Then I think it's over. And another one, and it's out of flotation. So, yeah, I think we did well. No, we will not play. Well, we can actually. Let's go back to the to this one. So I think we actually we performed very well considering the costs, or let's say low cost of this ship. It outperformed the Italians. We had of course a similar amount of battleships. They had one more heavy cruiser and a couple of destroyers more, I believe. But their ships were actually, I would say, better in terms of quality. But yeah, we did perform very well considering this this ship, and that was mostly due to tactical advantages. But with that, I hope that you liked this. So this was a kind of, well, I would say, demonstration about what the Tegetthoff class of ships could have done in World War I. In general, I think this ship is really underappreciated. In general, the entire Austrian-Hungarian Navy, I think, is underappreciated. They were, of course, by far not the best Navy. I'm not claiming that. But they were definitely more than people give them. And they had some, well, I would say designs that were ahead of their days in some respects. They had at least the triple-barreled guns, which most nations actually didn't sport at this moment in time. Don't forget that these ships were actually designed or laid down already in 1910. And I think that most navies actually by then still used dual-barreled turrets. So maybe of higher caliber sometimes than what the Austrians did. But I think the Austrians actually had a decent cannon layout. It was a very compact ship as well. The big downside, of course, was that it was super slow. And it was really destined as a I would say, more coastal defense battleship than actually going out far into the Mediterranean. So in that respect, its use was kind of limited to only defense purposes. But I think that that's what the Austrians also imagined, that the ship would be pushed into just defensive purposes of their own harbors in the Adriatic Sea, and just keeping at bay the Italian Navy from just landing troops. And in that respect, I think they actually performed well enough, even though they were, well, in reality lost due to clumsiness as well. I would argue, like this, the fact that some of them were, I believe, sunk in the harbor due to an Italian torpedo boat attack. I guess there are more examples of just losing ships in harbors due to not paying attention, Pearl Harbor for instance. But besides that, that's of course a bit of a clumsier way to lose your ships, especially if you already are at war at the moment of attack. So the Austrians could have done a bit better there, and I think that the Austrians never really developed the naval attitude that the other nations really had. The fact that they also didn't have colonies, for instance, already shows that the Austrians were not taking the ocean so serious as a way of expanding their influence and power. For them it was the land army, and that's it. And even there, of course, their own army was not that great by the time World War I emerged. They also made a huge number of mistakes there, and had some disinterested populations, to say at least, to fight for them. So the Austrians, of course, were a bunch of let's say, different groups, cultures together in a nation that didn't function anymore by that time. So it's not that strange that it ended up the way it did. If it wouldn't have been World War I, probably would have been something else. But anyway, with that I would like to conclude this episode. I really hope you liked this episode. And of course, if you did, please give me a like. It really helps the channel out. And I will be a bit more motivated again, of course, to also make other videos. And of course, if you have any suggestions about ships to try to rebuild, or let's say construct in the game, if the game allows, because the game is still somewhat limited here and there, I will try to do that. Or if you have suggestions about certain battles to try to push ships into, I will try to do that as well. And with that, I would like to say you goodbye, and hope to see you again next time. Take care, everyone.